I'm Erica Vizana, and this is Raw 2023. We are here with Rebecca Marfis, and Rebecca is one of our artists today. Rebecca, can I ask you a few questions?
Sure.
All right. Rebecca, how would you describe your artistic style? And any artists or movements influence your style of art?
Well, my artistic style is abstract realism. And as far as artists, I guess, obviously I like colors, so impressionism, to some degree.
And I see a lot of landscapes. Are you drawn to?
I'm always trepsing around with my dog, around here, taking walks, and I'm always like, oh, that's so beautiful. And then, so, I get an emotional feeling from something in nature that I want to go home and not just replicate it, but like add the feeling in it somehow.
Yep. All right. And how have you seen your art over time? Have you been doing, first of all, how long have you been doing this?
Well, I minored in art in college, so a while.
Okay. And did you see it? Have you physically I've actually seen my art change, evolve?
Yeah, I think so. Eventually you start to kind of develop what you like and what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, over time I've just kind of know that I do want to stick to landscapes, and so and as my own children have grown and I've had more time.
Right. Oh yeah, we all deal with that. Yeah.
So then I've had more time to really think about what you're doing and try to actually do it.
Well, it's beautiful.
Well, thank you.
Keep it up, and we're happy to have Rebecca in this year's 2023 show. Artist number 2, we are talking to Kate. Kate is a fabric artist, and just by looking at her work is just beautiful, colorful. Let's talk to Kate. Kate, how are you?
I'm well. How
Good.
are you?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm good. Can you describe a piece of your fabric art that you've created that you're most proud of?
Sure. Absolutely. I made these bookmarks specifically for this art fair. They talk about how the people who make our clothes, the people who make our textiles, they're kind of underpaid. Often they're slave labor. Their work is really unappreciated. Clothing is actually cheaper now than it was in the 1990s. And so I want people to think about and be respectful of the work that goes into their clothes. Not everybody knows that, everything you make, somebody made that. And so what I did was I used all the little scraps to put together to think about it and think about the work that people do.
That is amazing. Beautiful. Have you seen your work evolve over time? Or I know things change, times change. So I guess, how has fabric evolved?
I mean, there's so much that changes in what people use. I mostly use natural fibers when I can get them, but there's a lot of polyesters and other things that we use and we blend together now.
Okay.
And that can be tricky to reuse. It's not going to disintegrate, right? It's not going to be something that can return to the earth. And so I try to reuse both kinds of fabric, either natural fibers or synthetic fibers, and the blends especially. So I know you can tell, these are sheets.
Yeah,
so
sheets.
you recognize them from your childhood.
Yeah.
So those are percale. They're usually a polyester and a cotton blend. So to reuse them is better than to just discard them, because there's only so much you can do to get them to deteriorate.
And as we're talking here, I noticed this little bandana. It looks like a bandana and a towel, and that's beautiful.
So that's what I do. I try to reuse things.
Awesome. How has participating in the Riverside Art Weekend impacted you as an artist? Is it a positive?
Oh, well, first of all, it's lovely here. The people here are great. But also, I find that every artist feels a little imposter syndrome, right? And so to have people come and look at it and ask about the process you use and how do you make the decisions, that's really big in making me feel like,
you are an
okay,
artist.
this counts as art, even though there's no paint.
Yep. No, this is your medium. So, well, thank you, Kate, very much.
Thank you so much, Erica.
Good luck today at the art fair, and I will be back around because I like that pillow.
Excellent. I'm so
and
glad.
I need some color in my house.
Everybody needs color in their house.
Our next artist up for the art fair is
Andrew Jensen.
Andrew Jensen. And Andrew is a pottery artist?
Yeah, ceramics.
Ceramic,
Yeah,
okay.
pottery and sculpture.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you a question.
Sure.
What inspires you to create your work, and how do you cultivate your creativity? Like, where does your creativity come from, and what inspires you?
Okay, that's a tough one.
Okay.
I would say inspiration comes from just people, other artists, nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but yeah, definitely other like artists and other cultures.
Okay. And colors? What about I noticed there's a variety of colors. Are you
Yeah.
inspired by the colors?
I am. A lot of times it's experimental, and you know, some colors come out not what I was
Okay.
expecting.
Right.
But I am drawn more to like the earth tone colors.
Okay.
I mean, you'll see some more brighter colors like pinks and blues, but
Yeah.
but really like the earth tones are what I'm personally more drawn to.
Awesome. How do you handle creative blocks?
Creative blocks.
Yeah. Are you just constantly you got things going, or do you actually get those creative blocks?
I do get those creative
Yeah.
blocks. Yeah, I was just talking with somebody that was in the booth, and she was a potter, throws on the wheel, and we were talking about how sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Yeah.
There's days where you'll sit down, you'll start to throw, it's not happening, and then you just throw in the towel.
Yeah.
You could try to keep working through it. Maybe people do, but
Yeah.
sometimes there's those times where I'm just like, it's not going to happen today.
And so you take it like a champ.
Yeah, I
you
just
don't
walk
take
away
it
from it.
emotionally.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, I revisit
Oh, that's
it.
good. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you see your work interacting with the people today, or at
Yeah.
fairs if you normally do this?
So ceramics, a lot of it's functional. So people oftentimes like things that they can use.
Yep.
But there's definitely an art element to it where it's like visual. A lot of,
Yeah.
I'll say a lot of kind of like art mixed with the function.
Yep.
And it's also a lot of kids are drawn to it. I've had a lot of little kids in the booth, and I think there's a playfulness to a lot of the work in here. So I would say it connects with the kids
That's
like
great.
that.
Yeah.
But then usually the
Yeah.
people that want something that they can use, maybe some more of the functional pottery.
Yeah. I'm all about that. So.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Good
Thank
luck
you.
at the show.
I appreciate
and
it.
I'll be back around to check your workout.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
All right, next up on our artist interview is Michael Gustafson.
Yep.
Mike.
Excellent. Excellent.
Mike is a great guy.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
Mike.
Oh, thank you, Erica. You too.
So, okay, how did you get started?
I was a photographer, and then I wanted to do something a little different. And so, what I liked about I've been photographing the city of Chicago for years, so I wanted to get more of a bird's eye view. And what better way to start photographing from helicopters? So the 8888 shot was the first print that I did. It was from the air, and just the salespeople liked it so much, it just basically just took off. And so I've since then photographed about over 150 stadiums for Major League Baseball and the NFL over the years.
Yeah. You say since then. What year?
Well, the 88 was my first year.
Okay.
And I just recently retired just about 2 years ago.
Great.
So that ended that. Well, not really, because
Yeah.
I still keep busy with other aerial
Oh,
photographs.
yeah. Okay. What inspires you to create your photography? Is there a certain, like I noticed, okay, you do Cubs. It's so,
Yeah,
is it
we do the Village too, which we do special techniques that we have here. This is basically 4-color process printing on silver metallic.
okay.
And you see that reflections going out in and out. That's basically set up with a grayscale. So I control the opaque white. So if I want more detail, I can have the ink trap over the opaque white, or just have it print on the surface itself.
Okay. Beautiful.
So you get more detail.
All right, last question. How has participating in RAW in this art fair impacted you? Even though you're retired, you're still always an artist, you're still a photographer. How has that impacted you by being here?
Just the ideas of people. I mean, just getting and having the pandemic, everything behind us, this is getting people back out in the park again and just visiting. You know, I'm a big fan of just having dialogue with people, other artists, and just finding out different ideas. Does this look good? Does this feel right?
Yeah, right. So what would you say to a young Mike who is just starting out?
Find a niche in the business and stick with it and really work at it.
Find a niche in the business, stick with it, and really work at it. It's great. Thank
That's
you.
good.
All right.
Thank you.
Next up on our artist interview is Eye Candy with Amy. Amy, hi.
Hi.
Nice to have you at our art fair
Thank you for having me
summer.
this year.
Let me ask you a few questions, Amy.
Okay.
All right. How would you describe your work, your jewelry, your art? How would you describe this style of jewelry?
Eclectic.
Eclectic.
I'm always
okay.
moving, I'm always learning new techniques and looking for ways to incorporate them into my jewelry. Anything from etching metal
Wow.
to ancient Korean techniques such as kambu, which is bonding gold to
Wow.
silver, to metalworking techniques like
Beautiful.
anti-plastic shapes and designs like that.
Yeah, beautiful. Next question, speaking of all of what you just said, is there a particular piece that you feel, I know they're all, I mean, that's how it is. They're all, no
Pick
matter
one
what you
child,
do.
pick
exactly,
one of my
pick
children.
one child, I know. Or let's just say, how about this, that's significant to this show, Riverside, this area, this town, this community, anything like for,
Riverside loves art.
yeah.
I've been involved with RAW over the years.
Oh, great.
And Riverside has an extremely strong art following and appreciation for art. So they also seem to love the different techniques that I'm able to bring to the
Yeah,
table.
yeah.
For example, this one here comes from my childhood love of embroidery. My sister taught me how to embroider. And I start out with a piece of metal, cut it to shape, and then pierce it, drill it, file it, and then literally hand embroider it with very,
Wow.
very thin gauge wire
Wow.
to make up that design.
This is really beautiful. Last question, Amy. How has the work, if it has, evolved over time? So the time that you we all started in our basements or in our little extra room, and then
We did.
how has, whether your work has changed over time, your space has changed over time, we changed. How has the actual
Jewelry changed?
Jewelry changed, yeah.
The jewelry changes as I continue learning, and it's going to continue changing.
Right.
So I started out with seed beads,
Seed beads.
wanting to make something for a wedding I went to and needed some jewelry for it. Moved on to Swarovski crystals, if we all
Ooh,
remember
oh,
that
yeah.
era. That was a fun era.
Yeah.
And then I moved pretty quickly after that into metalworking and different metalworking techniques, and gemstones followed closely after that. Then I started adding different techniques such as kambu, metal etching, anti-plastic shapes. This is a good example of the anti-plastic shapes. Start out with one strip of metal, solder it so that it's a circle, and then I hammer it until we get that U shape to fit whatever stone or pearl I'm putting in there.
It's like a little pea pod.
They are little pea pods, but they're
Yeah.
secure, they're wired
Yeah.
in. And then continue hammering so that it's shut, but it's lighter
it's
than you would
beautiful.
think because
So-
it's hollow inside.
Yeah. And they're bangles.
They're
Yeah.
bangles, and that's
Yeah.
what you see here in the photo.
Beautiful.
As far as evolving, I like
All
to
right.
take classic techniques such as pearl knotting, so grandma's pearls,
Yeah.
right? But if I can update that a little bit,
Ooh.
we take something like amazonite beads and put silk, honey-colored silk
Yeah.
in between it, knot them the same way that grandma's pearls are knotted, but it gives a much more updated,
Beautiful.
interesting
Yep,
piece.
Yeah, you could wear that anywhere.
Can wear that
Not that grandma's pearls aren't bad
No,
either.
grandma's
Those
pearls are classic. They're not going away.
ways. They're classic. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best.
Thanks.
And
It's been a great show so far.
thank you. Your work is beautiful. Next up on our artist interview at Raw is Thunder Moon Studio, Carla Reisman. Carla, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here, Carla. I'm going to ask you a few questions, okay? All right. How would you describe your artistic style and which artists influenced it? I see a lot of artists influencing it, but okay, how would you
Yes.
describe your artistic style?
My artistic style, I'm still exploring it because I am new actually to art as of about 2 years. As I
no
developed
way.
this during the pandemic after a year long, decades in corporate.
Yeah.
And this is making me truly happy. And so I would say in general, my artistic style is eclectic. It is whimsical. It is imaginative and exploratory and curious.
Beautiful.
Who has inspired me? Keith Haring. I actually painted a mural with him in high school. was an awesome experience.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and obviously Warhol, you can see that in a lot of my pieces.
Yeah.
And I love Vincent van Gogh. I
Yep.
love Klimt.
Yeah.
So
Gustav Klimt is one of my favorites
yeah,
too.
I'm all over
Great.
the place.
Yeah, that's great. Could you share the story behind actually these pieces? So these 4 corners, what's the story behind these?
Okay, so I just wrapped up a 100-day public art project, and every day for 100 days, I created and then hid in my town a piece of art and left clues on our Facebook pages of where you can find it, and photographical and riddle type clues. And so once that was over, I felt very lonely, and I missed my it ended last week, and I missed talking with my people, but I thought it would be neat to recreate 100 days in one day. So I printed out a copy of each of the 100 pieces on these tent poles, and folks are welcome to come here and just take something that speaks to them, because I am trying to be
Fantastic.
a big advocate for public art.
And what you put into this world is going to kind of come back to you too, I feel. So you are making such an impact on thousands of people. You have no idea. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you so much.
Our last question is, how has participating in RAW impacted you as being an artist today and being an artist for tomorrow?
Well, I would say that I feel like I can finally relax today and just enjoy my art and the people who enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it has made me feel very woven into this fabric.
Yeah.
And especially the participation here. I've been in a few other festivals, and they're not like this. This is very hospitable, and there's, you treat us well, you're feeding us.
Yes,
this is pretty remarkable. But my neighbors are wonderful. I've met some really talented artists and really supportive people. So it has just really been kind of affirming for me as an artist.
Good. Well, thank you very much for being here. I look forward to looking more at your art. And if you want to look at her work, Thunder Moon Studio. That's how I found her, actually.
Thank you.
Well, that's a wrap to Riverside Art Weekend. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.